Lee Saunders would know. Lee, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Great to have you with us. I should say you're the Secretary-Treasurer of the American of AFSCME, and which makes you the kind of number 2 person behind Gerald McEntee, or McEntee?
McEntee.
McEntee, okay. And AFSCME.org, of course, the website. Was it AFSCME at that time?
It was. As a matter of fact, we were representing those sanitation workers, 1,300 sanitation workers in Memphis, Tennessee in 1968. And Dr. King traveled to Memphis on 3 separate occasions to support that strike. That strike was not only about trying to gain additional wages and benefits for those sanitation workers, but it was also about them having a voice on the job and being treated with respect and dignity, and for their union to be recognized. And unfortunately and ultimately, Dr. King gave his life in support of that strike. And
that noble effort for which Dr. King gave his life, I mean, it grew. By the time Ronald Reagan came into office, well over a quarter of the entire American workforce was unionized. Of course, he declared war on unions, and now the private sector portion of the workforce is down around 7%. The 30-year Reagan Revolution war on labor has had some considerable consequences in effect. How do you think Dr. King would look at this?
Oh, I think that he would be on the front lines. I mean, one thing that he understood, one thing that he strongly believed in was that we needed to have strong unions in this country. He believed in labor rights. He also believed that labor rights and civil rights were one and the same in human rights, and we needed to connect those dots. I believe that if he was living today, he would be in Wisconsin heading those marches and rallies. He would be in Ohio heading those marches and rallies and pushing for and rebuilding a coalition of faith-based communities, civil rights organizations, labor, students, seniors, all of those progressive organizations to try to move this country forward.
Now, admittedly, I was 12, I think, or no, I was like 14 or 15 when Dr. King was assassinated. And so, my memories of him are real, but they're not as vivid as my elders, shall we say. But what I do remember of him is, in a way, inconsistent with how he's being portrayed in today's media and in the textbooks in particular, and the teaching materials for our students, in as much as I remember a guy who was outspokenly opposed to the Vietnam War, and most of the anti-Vietnam War movement was white college students, right, or white kids out in the streets. I remember a guy who was strongly in support of labor rights, and much of labor in the United States, probably most, was not African American. I remember a guy who was in favor of civil rights to the point of being willing to give up his life for it, and saw those 3 things and more, peace in the world, as part of the wharf and woof of one thing, basically, of a united America. And now he's been turned into this, and correct me if I'm totally wrong on this. I mean, maybe my perspective is just totally skewed by my experience and whatever. But it seems like he's been turned into a guy who, it's okay for the media to talk about his civil rights record, but don't you dare talk about the fact that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King went after Lyndon Johnson and went after Richard Nixon about the Vietnam War, or went after, was speaking out in favor of peace and against war, and was speaking in favor of union rights, even in those unions that weren't, it didn't have significant African American constituencies, that he was even in favor of Latino rights, in the farm workers in the American West and Southwest.
Well, Dr. King was a man of principle, make no mistake about it, and I think that you hit it on the head with all of those issues that he strongly believed in, and he was very vocal about those issues. Now, you may have some people in this country who would like to recreate history or revise history, but it's clear where Dr. King stood, and he stood for civil rights and human rights and economic justice and peace, not only in this country but around the world, and he was very vocal about that. And I believe that's why it's so important that we honor his legacy and we honor the dream that he had, and that's taking place right now in Washington, D.C., this week and throughout the weekend, where you're going to have more than 400,000 people coming into Washington, D.C. to dedicate a memorial on the mall to a non-president. Every memorial on the mall of an individual, of a man, is of a president. And he will be the first non-president and the first African-American to have a memorial on the mall, and that's historic. I mean, this is a part of history. And I think that people are recognizing the importance that he played in American history. And I think one of the challenges that we have, not only to recognize his achievements and recognize the fact that this is such an important piece in our history, to have a memorial in Dr. King's honor, but we've got to continue to live the dream, and we've got to push for that dream. And that dream included economic security. It included jobs for all Americans. It included civil and human rights and labor rights for all Americans. And we can't forget that. And we've got to, under the issues that we're dealing with in this country right now, we've got to be more vocal than ever and make our voices heard.
Yeah, absolutely, and well said. The memorial has Dr. King's face and upper part of his body pulled out, his bust basically, pulled out of a larger piece of rock that has its own topography. What is the significance of that?
Well, I think that it shows that, and I was there when they were in construction, because AFSCME was donated to help this memorial being built. Our members, our 1.6 million members and affiliates, gave more than $1 million because we considered it to be so important. But it shows vision. It shows the vision that he had, and they call it the Stone of Hope, where his vision is being positive about this country and what we can do as a nation, the greatest nation on the face of the earth, but dealing with the kinds of problems and issues that confront all of us. And his approach was a nonviolent approach, obviously, but he wanted to tackle the real issues that impact on African Americans and other minorities in this country, but working families in the middle class. And I think that's what he stood for, and that's what the dream stood for, and that's what we've got to rebuild and recreate that fervor and that dream to move forward in this country.
Yeah, as you said, as we are in Wisconsin and Michigan and Ohio and other places around the country, it needs to grow. We need to bring back a unionized America, and among other things. So very well said. Lee Saunders, thanks so much for being with us, Lee.
Thank you for having me.
AFSCME.org, of course, the website. We'll be right back.